Let's fucking go, man. Let's fucking go. That game, very, very nerve-wracking. But before we get to it, welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac. Tonight we got to see the Cleveland Cavaliers take on the always dangerous Philadelphia 76ers, who are, of course, led by reigning MVP Joel Embiid. Now, coming off of the victory over the defending champion Denver Nuggets, in which Cleveland managed to take Nikola Jokic out of his element, I was really curious to see how they would deal with Embiid, considering he has obliterated Cleveland in his past outings against this squad. Heading into tonight's matchup, Embiid had been averaging damn near 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists against us, while boasting an 11-7 record. Right. He and the 76ers have managed to win 6 of their last 7 against the Cavs, and overall just gave, Cleveland everything they could handle. Right. And just like every other game this season, the Cavs did not come into this game healthy. No Donovan Mitchell, who's missed his 3rd straight game, I believe. No Karis LeVert. Still no Isaac Okoro out there. No Ty Jerome. But what's new, right? Next man up. That's the mentality that we continuously have to give ourselves, and it's paying off. Boy, is it. Literally just saw them overcome all of this against Denver. So why couldn't it happen again tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers? Well, it did. For the 2nd straight game, Cleveland threw down with a supposed title contender and emerged victorious. No thanks to the refs. What the fuck was that? I'm so tired of this officiating. Anytime the Cavs breathed on Joel Embiid, foul. Foul. Breathe their same air, foul. Get in their same general vicinity, foul. Just continuously calling fouls. I was so fed up with it, guys. But obviously, Cleveland walked away with a 122-119 victory. Ecstatic. Couldn't be any more ecstatic about tonight's victory. Again, back-to-back victories against title contenders. This was a big-time win, despite not having your best player. Tune in One Sports already down here. You're on the same page as I am. Refs didn't want to foul Embiid out. They never do. What the fuck is that, man? I'm sick of it. Guy gets an atrocious whistle. Guys, how do you play against an opponent like that, especially a big man who can basically just body his way inside, and as soon as he's touched, they're giving him bullshit foul calls? I'm tired of it. But I say all that. And even with that being said, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen were wonderful tonight. I don't want to hear not one bit of slander against the likes of Jared Allen, because he performed his ass off tonight when it mattered most, in my opinion. This man, 35 minutes, 26 points, 13 boards, 3 assists on that. He moved the ball very well. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But 12 of 20 from the field. And this is one of those games, just like against Nikola Jokic, this is going to help him beat those soft allegations, right? We don't want to talk about, matchups against Miles Turner or Chet, Holmgren. We're talking about big boys and Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, guys who can go out there and get physical with you and move your ass out the way. And obviously, those are 2 MVP caliber players right there that Jared Allen has actually fared pretty damn well against. So Jared Allen, very, very good game from him tonight. The stat sheet is not going to say that in regards to a plus-minus standpoint, because he was a -6 on the night. But, man, his play, you just cannot tell me that this guy wasn't missed or that he is not vital to this team, because since he's been back, this Cavs defense has actually started to get a grip, right? They started to really function very, very well on that end of the floor, despite some inconsistencies, right? Despite some inconsistencies. K-Dude says down here, it wasn't even close, in my opinion. With a fair whistle, Allen outplayed Embiid. Absolutely vital. You are 1,000% fucking correct, K-Dude. Jared Allen, this is a game where you look at the tape and you say to yourself, yeah, this is one that you look to emulate against this type of matchup in the future. Just excellent performance from Jared Allen. But, man, Jared wasn't even the player of the game, in my opinion. I said this was going to be a 40-minute Craig Porter Jr. love fest, basically. And, man, I got to give it to the kid, because this dude back-to-back plays of the game, right? We do not win that fucking game without Craig Porter Jr. One, getting in there, muscling his way inside, moving and beat out the way, saying, this is my fucking game. This is my team right now. I won the game, right? He goes up and gets Embiid, gets that incredibly tough layup, and then he dishes out for the pass, right? Back-to-back plays. That dude won us the game. Nothing, yeah, as Noah Heritage says down here, nothing to dislike about Craig Porter Jr. So here's the thing. I just want to pull his stats up real quick because I think I have them pulled up here. Just give me just a second to grab those. But yeah, Porter, man, he's been absolutely wonderful. And what more can you ask out of this guy outside of the three-point shot? That's basically it. The three-point shot is really the only thing that you could complain about in regards to Craig Porter Jr. Because obviously, when you're taking a look at his last 3 games, this is his last 3 games, right? 15 points, 3.3 rebounds, 6 assists, 60.7% from the field, 100% from the free throw line, might I add. I continuously bring Carter's name up into this because Carter, when we were watching that game, I forget who the opponent was against, but he continuously missed his free throws. He's been 100% from the free throw line. And the best part about this, my friends, less than 1 turnover per game. This motherfucker is so cool, so calm, so collected with the basketball in his hands. He's got a hell of a handle on him too. Very, very underrated handle. And when he's dribbling, when he's penetrating inside and whatnot, getting in there, he doesn't appear to be the quickest guy out there, but it's uncanny his ability to knife his way inside and fight through contact. That's what's impressed me perhaps the most about him, in the presence of, a lack thereof of a perimeter shot, because I still don't think Craig has actually attempted a 3 this season. I could be mistaken in regards to that. I'm gonna have to double check, but I don't actually think Craig has attempted 1 3-point shot this year. His 3-point percentage is literally 0. And as the stats, he's attempted 1. He's attempted 1, at least 1. That's it. But it hasn't fucking mattered. It hasn't mattered because okay, dude, I just checked. He's attempted 1. But that shit hasn't mattered because he's able to get inside at will. He's able to basically, this is the thing. If you guys haven't checked this out, I put some content out on him the other day, and the same thing holds true that I said in that video. The defense is still face guarding him, right? They're still face guarding him. He is technically spacing the floor by virtue of that. They're not sagging off of him because he is constantly moving with the ball in his hands and without the ball. He's constantly on the move, very much like Max Strus has been to start this season. But I can't say anything bad about Porter at this point in time because this dude, he's doing it all. The only thing that he does not have in his bag right now is that 3-point shot. And there does seem to be a little bit of hesitancy there, but I'll look past that because he's been able to impact the game in so many other ways, whether it be on the defensive end. Yes, Dr. Claw 77, I just mentioned that. He had a huge bucket late in the game. That shit, man, I don't even know what words to use to describe Craig Porter Jr. because it's not like we're talking about a first-round pick here. Hell, we're not even talking about a second-round pick like Imani Bates or something. We are literally talking about an undrafted rookie. We are talking about an undrafted rookie out here. And this dude, he plays with the poise of a 10-year veteran out there orchestrating the offense. Yes, K-Dude down here says, plays like a vet. Couldn't say it any better if I tried. He plays like he's been in the league for some time now. And you see some tenured vets out there who aren't on his level in terms of poise with the basketball in their hands. He's just making plays that he has no business making out there this early into his career. And as you guys heard them say on the broadcast, right? And you guys have heard me say this about a gazillion times since we picked him up. That time at the collegiate level, 5 years between Wichita State and the JUCO that he was at prior to that, that helped him mature his game. Many players coming into the NBA, they haven't been in environments for a sustained period of time where they can actually hone their skills, right? They're not able to work on their games the way that Craig Porter Jr. has been able to. And it's you can tell how much it's benefited him. Now, let's make no mistake here, right? Craig is obviously the beneficiary of the fact that there is no Donovan Mitchell out there. There's no Karis LeVert out there. Ty Jerome ain't out there. Ricky Rubio's a fucking afterthought right now. God bless, right? I hope everything's going okay with him. But if anything that we've seen out of Craig, right? If it's one thing that we've seen from him, it's that the Cavs are in good hands, come rain or shine, right? Whether Ty Jerome comes back, anytime soon, or Ricky Rubio decides to call it a career, the Cavs' backup point guard situation is resolved, and it's been resolved in a surefire fashion, right? This dude he's got next. He's got next. As NSPR8 says down here, CPJ9 deserves a contract. I said it last game. If they don't fucking convert his contract after tonight, I don't even fucking know what to do. I'm gonna scream. I swear. Get this dude in the everyday rotation. And it's not exactly like they're in a situation where they could end up losing him, right? Because they have him on that 2A. If they really wanted to, I suppose that they could string this thing out a little longer and allow him to field some time at the G League level, which we still haven't seen him play 1 minute with the Cleveland Charge yet, if that tells you anything, that they feel like he's ready. But once all these other guys come back, right? Once Karis comes back and gets his full complement of minutes, once Donovan Mitchell comes back, what does this all look like? Once Isaac Okoro comes back, how does this factor into the rotation, right? Because as of right now, in my mind, this is just me, right? Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, those obviously the starting five. Let's just say we'll call a spade here. The starting five is as sure bet as you can get, right? Darius, Donovan, Strus, Evan, Allen. That's your starting five. Karis LeVert is your bona fide sixth man. He's going to be a sixth man of the year contender. You're not going to play him. So he'll be out there. Niang, he's been playing better as of late. He had a pretty good game tonight on the offensive side. I'll talk about him here in a little bit. Those are your first seven. And, Isaac Okoro, right? In my opinion, Isaac has to stay in the rotation at some capacity. If you're saying, hey, give the guy about 15 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game, yeah, that's about where I'm at. But after that 9th, 10th man, because this is where I'm at with JB, right? And we're going to talk about him in a little bit too, because I really honestly feel like JB deserves some fucking recognition. Not only for allowing Craig Porter Jr. such a long leash in developing, and being able to work some of these things out, right? But I feel legitimately like he's made up for some of the past mistakes, or he's at least starting to, right? The timeouts are coming in a little bit more timely, for lack of a better term. Some of the out of bounds calls, right? Some of the play calls that he's drawn up, those ATOs and whatnot. He's been doing a better job at that. And not to mention the fact that he's down some very, very high level rotation pieces right now in Karis, in Isaac, in Donovan. So you got to give JB Bickerstaff some love. You got to praise him a little bit for that. But honestly, where I'm at with the rotation, it's got to be 9 to 10. It has to be 9 to 10. No less than that. I don't want to see fucking 8-man rotations anymore. You have the talent on your goddamn roster right now, JB. You have the level of talent off your bench that you did not have over these past couple of seasons, right? You have it available to you. You have Karis LeVert out there. You have George Niang, who's going to be manning some of those minutes at the 4. You have Craig Porter Jr. You have Isaac Okoro. Now, I know this is not going to be, a name that's highly touted right now just because he's not scoring. Dean Wade. And Dean Wade, for what it's worth, take it with a grain of salt, right? 8 rebounds tonight. The Cavs probably don't win the game tonight if they don't get some of those timely rebounds that Dean provided. The shot is going to come and go. He only took 4 attempts tonight. He still looks hesitant at times to pull the trigger, but the Cavs probably don't win that game without some of those rebounds. So he's going to have his moments where he probably deserves some run. Tristan Thompson, he provided some quality minutes out there tonight defending Joel Embiid, especially on that final possession, to close out regulation, which that shit scared me to death because that's I respect Tristan, right? I love Tristan. He's a champion. He's been there. He's done that. But I did not want to see an ISO possession where Embiid is ISOing Thompson to win the game. I didn't want to see that, but guess what? It didn't fucking matter because Thompson did his job, right? So he is going to have spurts in which he is deserving of minutes. All in all, I say all this to say the Cavs have enough talent on their roster to easily go 9 to 10 deep. I know history tells us that playoff rotation shorten, but fuck it. What have you got to lose at this point? All people are already calling for your job. People are impatient as hell. ESPN Cleveland is, coming out with bullshit, a lot of the time in regards to, the outlook of the team. They just did that shit today with Dan Gilbert, right? Where clearly he hasn't been around the team because of the stroke and because of the loss of his son, God rest his soul. But it just goes to show, right? Just do what you can. And right now, in my opinion, you have the ability to go 9 to 10 deep. It is a crime, or it will be a crime if Craig Porter Jr. rides the bench once this team gets healthy. And y'all know me, I've been a very, very big supporter of JB Bickerstaff. But if this dude sits Craig after what we've seen in these past 3 games, I'm going to lose my shit. This dude, man, you guys will never see me calling for anybody's job, right? You will never see me calling for anybody's job, especially JB's, because I really feel like people have been very, very hard on him and unfair at unfair points throughout his coaching tenure with Cleveland. Some of the criticism has been warranted, but for the most part, I feel like JB has been better than I expected. And he's still growing and developing just like some of these players are. Coaches develop too. I don't think people understand that concept that coaches are not just like ready-made things. They're not ready-made people. They also develop just like the rest of us. But I say all that to say I'm going to lose it if Craig Porter Jr. is placed on the Cavalier bench once Donovan, once Karras, once Isaac come back. You have got to figure out a way to get him out there. He's too damn vital. Yes, he's among the shorter side at 6'2", but he don't play like it. Dude plays like he's legitimately 6'6", 6'7". He plays like a wing out there. He plays like a small forward out there, grabbing boards, going up for blocks. He had a very nice block tonight again. Just continues to remind us why he was a block leader at Wichita State. It's just insane. Guys his size should not be able to do some of the things that he's been able to do. And as X Factor 2005 says down here, 56 rebounds on a 9-man rotation is crazy. And, that is insane. Yeah. So, you're looking at the rebounding battle tonight. If I would have bet money on this, which I did, and I do have to say I want some money. I feel good. That's another reason why I'm up here going crazy, because Cleveland won me some money tonight. That's always good. But 56 rebounds, 14 of the offensive variety to Philadelphia's 44, who also got, 14 of the offensive variety. And theirs came probably a little more timely, right? They got some key possessions, especially to close out that game. And if I have one complaint about JB tonight, because I do honestly feel like he coached a wonderful game, give him some props, right? But my biggest complaint for tonight for him was leaving Dean Wade out there a little bit longer than he probably should have, and not inserting Craig Porter Jr. early enough when it was clear as fucking day that the Cavs needed another guy out there capable of putting the ball on the floor, right? Darius Garland could not do everything himself. They needed another shot creator out there. They needed another guy out there who could orchestrate the offense. So I did legitimately feel like, especially to close out that game, that Craig Porter Jr. probably should have entered a little bit earlier. I get it though. I can't complain too much. We won, right? We're on a winning streak now. And for those of you who are doomers, doom and gloom as the season started out, look, I'll give it to you. I'll say this. I will not uh patronize you too much, right? I won't belittle you too much. It's been a rough start to this season, for the Cavaliers from an injury perspective. But I will say there was a lot of people out there ready to jump ship, ready to call it quits, ready to turn their backs on some of these guys, especially this next guy that I'm about to talk about. And that, my friends, is none other than Darius fucking Garland, who people, for the life of me, people are saying, trade Darius Garland. Darius Garland's production don't matter. He's not an all-star caliber player. All of these different things that have been said about Darius Garland have really pissed me off at certain points from people. And after this recent stretch that he's been able to put up, and I think I pulled the stats up here yet again. Let me see. There we go. Darius Garland, first 3 games. This is the thing. Let's put some context to this. Darius Garland with the hammy, the lateral quickness really wasn't quite there. We've seen it the last 2 games, right, against Denver and Philly when he's actually looked like himself. But in those first 3 games, obviously, still trying to figure out how all these different pieces integrate with one another. And then the hammy actually bothering him. His first 3 games, 17.7 points per game, 6 assists, 42.5% from the field, a paltry 8.3% from 3-point distance, just 1 of 12, right? And then obviously the big sticking point here for many people, the 5 turnovers. He started the season out leading the league in turnovers, basically. But I'll look past that because in these last 6 games, dude has been nothing short of phenomenal in the absence of Donovan Mitchell in some of these and Karis LeVert and others, right? 22, and this is factoring in tonight, right? This is factoring in tonight as well. I made sure to update this. 22.7 points per game, still 6 assists, higher efficiency, right? 49%, damn near 50% from the field, 41.9% from 3-point distance. That's the one error on that stat sheet right there. And then what you love to see is he's decreasing these turnovers. He's limiting them. They're still going to come. He is the lead guard, and he's going to have a very high utilization rate. And, you're going to turn the ball over as guard. It's just going to happen, unless you're just ungodly lucky at certain points, like Craig Porter Jr., right, who's barely turned the ball over. But defenses do not pay attention to Craig the same way they do Darius. I'll just say that, right? And that I say that because there's some people out there already suggesting that Craig Porter Jr. has a higher level of potential than Darius. When I just look, I love the dude, but we got to cool it down a little bit because we're talking about an all-star talent guard in DG who does the one thing right now, especially on the offensive end, that Craig Porter Jr. just cannot. And that is knock down the 3-point shot. And he does it really fucking well. Put some respect on Darius Garland's name. Put some respect on him. As Tune In One Sports Sound here says, yeah, people turning on DG was crazy. Like, he not him. Somebody literally fucking said that to me, Tune In. Somebody said he ain't him, which is crazy. Like, what? I don't know what you're expecting out of Darius at this point in time because he's performed very, very admirably despite some of these injuries that the Cavs have had out there. And the one thing that I noticed tonight, the Cavs must have thought it was 2021, bro, because the lob passes were out there and they were plentiful. He was finding Jared Allen. He was finding Evan Mobley. The lobs were just there all day, especially for Jared. It was beautiful. It was honestly really reminiscent of that 2021-22 season in which he made the All-Star game. The All-Star game was held in Cleveland, right? All that good stuff. The COVID year, as a lot of people like to remember it as. Yeah, put some respect on our guy's name, right? K-Dude says, I think he puts too much heat on his passes. Allen and Mobley sometimes have a hard time handling them. If that is in regards to Darius Garland, I think that comes and goes, right? He's still trying to figure out these guys' movements because believe it or not, Max Strus, his spacing that he's provided has kind of changed some of the angles out there for where guys are going to be. Now I do feel like there are still some lackadaisical passes on his part. But the lobs, as Noah Heritage down here says, he makes throwing the lob look so easy. He really does. And this is the Darius Garland that I knew, right? This is the Darius Garland I knew and loved prior to the Donovan Mitchell acquisition, right? And that's not to throw shade at Donovan at all, because I still think this backcourt can work with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. And I'm not going to be one of these people out here saying, oh, Craig Porter Jr. looks really good. Time to trade Donovan Mitchell. No, chill out. But I cannot lie, man. They've functioned very, very well together. I did not expect that development. I did not think that that Darius Garland and Craig Porter Jr. would look so well together. They're both undersized, but one of them doesn't play undersized, and the other one is a very, very, very good offensive talent in Darius Garland. All right. Second straight game, I believe, finishing with 30 or more assists. Which is wonderful. The ball movement in general has been absolutely wonderful. They finished with 33 assists tonight. But yeah, man, the ball definitely has some electricity in it. The ball, it's just really moving. And it's not just Darius Garland and Craig Porter Jr. doing the job either. I was really, really impressed with Max Strus's ability to play make tonight. And oftentimes what I've seen from him is that he's a connective tissue kind of guy, like making the extra pass. He might get one and make a hockey assist or something like that. But some of the DHOs that he's been able to, run with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen at times, that's big time for this offense, right? You didn't necessarily have that last season. And Strus, he's a better playmaker than a lot of people tend to give him credit for, myself included, because as I continue to say, like coming from Miami, I honestly felt like we were just getting mostly a movement shooter who cut pretty well as well. But I didn't see the level of playmaking that he's been giving us. I didn't see the rebounding that he's been giving us. And, the defense, it's not Isaac Okoro level, right? It's not Craig Porter Jr. level, but it's still passable, which is fine. It's as long as you're giving us so much production in other avenues, and he continues to fill up the stat sheet on his way to career highs across the board. Jose A says, I got my joy back, Mac. I really hope you did, man, because the Cavs, they've been wonderful these past couple of games. And then, again, it's one thing to beat up on the Portlands or the Detroits of the world. It's a whole different story to go out there and pull off back-to-back victories against, one, the defending champion Denver Nuggets, and two, a title contender in the Philadelphia 76ers, who have the reigning MVP, right? It's one thing to go out there and just beat the teams you're supposed to beat, but when you go out there and get back-to-back statement victories without your full complement of players, that speaks volumes about what the potential of your team. Tonight's victory, although, there are some games going on tonight, the Cavs are now, if I am not mistaken, 8-6, I believe. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I don't think Bleacher Report is necessarily updated their their stats on the game now, but I believe that they are now 8-6 on the season. It drops Philly down to 10-4, if I am not mistaken. Pranav Sivaram says down here, CBJ basically filling Rubio role from 2021-22 season. And I have to say, there are some aspects about that I agree with. Rubio was not afraid at all of taking that 3-point shot, right? Definitely somebody who was out there benefiting from the lack of a secondary shot creator, especially after Colin Sexton went down. But Rubio, he didn't necessarily feel afraid of taking that 3-point shot. CBJ isn't doing that yet, and he's been more efficient. And he's a better defender, right? To say he's filling that role, yes. Different type of player, though. Taylor says, Cavs need to use Don as a play finisher and will look better than him playing point guard 50% of the time. Yeah, I think that there is some validity to that. And I've seen a lot of people saying, hey, When Donovan Mitchell comes back, he better not be on that hero ball bullshit. um, I don't think he tries to, right? I just believe that that's just part of who he is at times because of what the Cavs have required of him. Yeah, especially to begin the season, then when you didn't have Darius out there, when Karras was your next best player, right? So Donovan by default basically was the offense, and I think I mentioned this a couple of days ago on one of my earlier pods. Um, Donovan is basically providing 40, not 40, it was like basically 25% of the Cavs' overall offensive production with what he's averaging. Because I think he's at like 29.2 points per game. It's been a minute since I checked, but he's basically providing a fourth of the Cavalier offensive production. He is a system unto himself. Kind of reminds me of reverse of what James Harden wants to be, right? At this point in his career, saying, I'm not a system player, I am a system. Donovan Mitchell is kind of the inverse of what Harden believes he is, because you legitimately can make a case that Mitchell is a system unto himself. Does that mean that that's the way the Cavs should operate? No, right? Obviously, we see what the ball movement has been able to do in these back-to-back victories. So if they can figure it out, and this is like my biggest complaint between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell this past season, not even just this year, because we haven't gotten a large sample size alongside some of the other pieces. But my biggest complaint was that there were far too many occasions in which they were kind of like, it's your turn, it's my turn, it's your turn, it's my turn, but they can never be on at the same time. One of them would have a great game, the other one not so much, and vice versa. I saw somebody ask this question. What's Donovan's percentage from the floor this year? Donovan is currently shooting 48.6% from the field and a little under 40% from three-point distance. He is easily having one of his most efficient seasons of his career. And he's been great, right? Prior to exiting, he's basically played like a top 10 player. Whether or not you feel he is or not, he was playing like a top 10 player. Carried the Cavs to some of those earlier victories that they had no business winning. Brady Croft says, will Sharif ever come up to the Cavs? No, that's an easy one. The Cavs, honestly, nothing against Sharif. I think that he is probably too good to be at the G League level, but I just don't see his fit here in Cleveland. Especially considering that you have just unearthed another gem in Craig Porter Jr. So there's no real reason to do that, right? I don't think he has, and I could be wrong on this, but I don't think he has any eligibility left on the 2A deal. That, I'm not a contracts guy, don't ask me, but I don't think they can sign him to another 2A. Brady Croft also says, we need the Cavs to be able to operate at a higher level when teams actually try on defense, or else it'll be the same result come playoffs. I mean, I guess if that's the takeaway tonight, the Sixers did kind of clamp down, especially in that fourth quarter, right? But what I can say is that once you do get Donovan back, once you do get Karras back, you do have more shot creators to lean on, because as I mentioned earlier, for a large portion of that fourth quarter, Dean Wade was your, he was out there when he probably shouldn't have been. And Craig Porter Jr., one of the Cavs' only other guys capable of putting the ball on the floor, and orchestrating the offense, he didn't enter until well into the fourth. And in overtime, he came in with a little over 2 minutes left to play, if I'm not mistaken. That doesn't happen when Karras and Donovan are back. You have more options. And so the defense is not going to be able to just key in on Darius Garland so easily. Man, it's been a great start, man. Great start to the season in some aspects and not so great in others. The injuries obviously are definitely something to take into consideration when you're talking about our overall record, but the mere fact that they've been able to kind of get past it is phenomenal. And I think it's a credit to JB Bickerstaff. TuneIn says, if CBJ starts shooting the three ball, it's over. I concur. CBJ gets the three ball. You have to play him no matter what. He'll play over Isaac Okoro. You heard me say it. I won't repeat it. But if that's the case, if he develops that 3 ball, you have every bit reason to play him over Isaac. Pat Beverly was hyped after all 2 of his points. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would be hyped too if my points came at one of the more pivotal points in the game, but I get it. K Dude says, what do you feel about the possibility of converting CBJ and calling a guy like Travers or that center, I'm assuming you mean Khalifa Diop, to a 2-way and monitor them more closely? I mean, I would love to see more of Luke Travers, but I fail to see a reality in which that happens, to be honest. I think Travers is kind of where he's at right now over there. With Australia, Perth, I think he's still with Perth. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Dean did get some key rebounds for us, says Tony to turn. Yes, he did. I mentioned this earlier. Dean's shot is not falling, right? It's going to come and go. I think it's a confidence issue at certain levels, right? But as long as he's out there playing defense, as long as he's out there rebounding the basketball, it's kind of hard to not play him, especially when you just don't have a ton of size out there at the 3 and 4 positions, right? With Niang technically, being undersized and Max Strus obviously being undersized. Relax Sensation says starters Garland, Mitchell, Allen, Mobley, Strus, bench, Coro, Levert, Niang, Porter. We pretty deep. Indeed, we are. I second that notion. Garland, Mitchell, Strus, Allen, Mobley. That's your starting 5. Your bench, as you say, Okoro, Levert. Levert is your 6th man, but I get it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Not necessarily the order, but I get it. Okoro, Levert, Niang, Porter. That's 9 deep. That's perfectly fine to me. If I had to pick a 9-man rotation, that would be my 9-man rotation. Porter and Levert playing together will be nice. Yeah, it will. I guess my question would be in regards to how that would fit, because we've actually seen it. We've gotten some tape already, right? But I do wonder without having the ball in his hands so much, what Craig Porter Jr. could potentially look like, especially without the 3-point shot, right? If I don't know what JB is going to elect to, which job or which responsibility he would give to Karras once everybody comes back, because Karras, we all know, he's prone to over dribbling, but he's still a pretty damn good playmaker off that bench, and he is an excellent shot creator in his own right, and he probably operates best with the ball in his hands. But the great thing about Karras is that we know that he has become a better off-ball shooter. He did experience a career high from 3-point distance this past season, and he's started off very, 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 very well from an offensive standpoint this year, while still providing underrated defense, I'll add. Jeff Wishes, thank you for clarifying that. He's in Melbourne. This is in reference to Luke Travers, by the way. He's in Melbourne, having them at the top of the NBL. He'll be great for us when he comes. Yeah. I liked what I saw out of him out of the 2 previous Summer League appearances that we've seen from him. But he still has a little bit of seasoning that needs to take place. Tune In Sports says, usually I'd be hating on Niang floaters, but I like his minutes this game, and he even got some rebounds. He's actually averaging, if I am not mistaken, Niang is averaging a career high in rebounds this season at 3.8 boards per game. I think that's a career high for him, but the main thing that I've been impressed with him as of late is he's actually knocking down that 3-point shot, right? He's doing the job that we paid him for, essentially. He's spacing the floor. Defenses are respecting him. What more can I ask out of him? And he's not a total liability on the defensive end. He's still, a net positive, in my opinion. Brady Croft says Double T is a key piece to this team. To be honest, he's our only bench big. Yeah, we've already seen him give. He had it tonight, right? He had a pretty nice block on him. Pretty nice block out there, in addition to face guarding Joel Embiid on the final possession of regulation, because that could have easily been a game winner. It wasn't, though. So props to Tristan Thompson for that. Jay Quest says JB should experiment with Bates in for Wade here and there. I think that will probably occur as the year goes on, especially with Bates with his 2A eligibility, right? There may be, in fact, games that you see Amani Bates and you don't see Dean Wade. But the thing working in Wade's favor, obviously, is the position, right? Wade is a power forward, and he can give you minutes to the three. And in small spurts, he can also give you minutes as a backup five. Don't want that to be the case all too often, but he's versatile enough to go 3 through 5 in ways that Amani is not, right? Amani is a big ass two guard. He's a three. That's probably his positional outlook as a three, right? A small forward. Dean Wade has that leg up on him in this rotation because of what is required. Um, Shot making, especially when the Cavs are fully healthy, is not necessarily something that they lack, right? Maybe 3-point shooting, but not necessarily shot creation. Um, Relax Sensation says Craig going to be undrafted. Good story in the NBA. 100%, man. 100%. And I keep saying this, man. It's time to push the rookie of the year agenda for Craig Porter Jr., right? To me, I don't think it's too early to say that. 3 straight double-digit scoring affairs. Now, obviously, Wimby, Chet, those guys, they're going to get all the love in regards to the Rookie of the Year race. But I think that there is a real case to be made that Craig, as long as he's given a high amount of minutes, right, that he could be up there. He could be in the top 5. Tony Two Turn says Craig has that Mamba mentality. Yeah, I mean, he's not a shooter, right? But he knifes his way inside. He's aggressive. He attacks. I love it. So from that aspect, yes, I love it. He has that killer instinct out there that some of these guys just don't, right? You either have it or you don't. It's innate. People kill LeBron all day in regards to that killer instinct versus a guy like Kobe or MJ. But Craig has it. He's not afraid of the moment at all. Same thing with Amani Bates that we've seen, right? The moment is not too big for these guys. And if you would have told me to begin the season, right, that Craig Porter Jr. would have found minutes over Amani, I would have agreed with that, but I wouldn't necessarily have thought that Amani would basically be glued to the bench while Craig is taken off, right? Craig is now playing 20 plus minutes per game. Amani is not seeing action. I don't think he actually took the floor tonight. So, 2 diamonds in the rough, perhaps 2 steals. I still believe that Amani Bates has the potential to be the steal of the draft, right? Because he was actually selected. But Craig Porter Jr. has the potential to be maybe one of the steals of the entire offseason. And I don't think so. Brady Golf, that's a good question, man. Tony Two Turn says, let me find that. Sorry. Are we overreacting with Porter like Jeremy Lin? No, I don't believe we are. Jeremy Lin's run was a lot different, in my opinion. Craig Porter Jr. is a two-way player, not only in contract, but in his actual style of play, right? Craig plays defense as well. He's not a shooter either. Jeremy Lin was a much better shooter, right, than Craig Porter Jr. is. But yeah, definitely some similarities with Linsanity and what's going on with Porter Jr. right now. I don't know, like if somebody's already coined some type of phrase in regards to Craig Porter Jr. right now, but I would love to hear it if they have. Might have to think of one myself. Tony Two Turn also says, love this channel. I'm definitely subscribing. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I encourage anybody else who may be watching tonight to, throw me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff that us podcasters generally say, yada, yada, yada. But I definitely appreciate it, Tony. Thank you. K-Dude says, no, CBJ has the skills and knowledge. I think, honestly, that, I don't want to hate on Jeremy Lin because that Linsanity run was crazy. And it came at a much different NBA, right? The NBA was a much different place than it is now. But, yeah, I was really pulling for Jeremy. I really had hoped that he would have sustainability in the NBA, but he kind of bounced around after that, right? But, man, overall in the night, just a phenomenal showing from everybody across the board. Even Dean, right, from a rebounding and defensive perspective. For me, tonight, I would probably say my players of the game. Sorry, Darius, I can't give it to you, even though you led the Cavs in scoring. My players of the game tonight are Craig Porter Jr. and Jared Allen. I don't know who got the Junkyard Dog Award. Maybe you guys can let me know. Haven't had the opportunity to actually check since I'm over here. But those are my players of the game. Craig Porter Jr. with his 12 points and 9 assists and just ultra efficiency from the floor. And, carefree, turnover free basketball. And then Jared Allen, his ability to, to play decent level of defense on the reigning MVP, right? You're not going to stop Joel Embiid. You're not going to stop Joel Embiid. He's going to get his. The real thing that you have to think is about containing him, right? Because tonight he finished with 32 points, 13 rebounds, and crazily enough, Embiid, man, this dude is probably, he's putting up stat lines very similar to Nikola Jokic in regards to facilitation, right? Embiid is moving the ball really, really well this season. He's literally averaging over 6 assists per game. That is double his career average. This man is literally averaging damn near double his career average. And yes, he is a free throw merchant, as K Dude says down here. I hate it, right? How do you defend this guy without fouling him? Because anytime you breathe in his general vicinity, it's a fucking foul. But I respect his ability to do that, right? It's very similar to what we've said about SGA at points. It's very similar to the criticisms that we've heard of James Harden at certain points of his career. Guys who are just able to draw free throws at an alarming rate and just seem to have an endless whistle out there. I don't know what they've done to gain favor with the refs, but Embiid, whatever he's done, he's been able to get a good whistle out of them. So Craig Porter Jr. to me, player of the game. Jared Allen right up there for his ability to contain Joel Embiid. And I guess Trae Young. I was going to say Trae Merchant. Jesus. Trae Young, free throw merchant as well. Yeah, Trae is no stranger to those allegations, right? Just as we've labeled, and I'll say we very lightly because it ain't me that was doing this, but as a fan base, many Cavaliers fans were labeling Jared Allen soft, the same way that Jared has gotten those soft allegations. Trae has gotten those free throw merchant allegations. But easily tonight, probably my one of my favorite games of the season. Not the best, because I still feel like the wins at Golden State, and then this last game against Denver, these were wonderful performances. But when you can take everything into consideration, the fact that Donovan Mitchell is not out there, who's still widely regarded in many circles to be Cleveland's best player, right? And I don't really think we can argue against that. And still not having Kara, still not having Isaac, and you're still beating some of the best teams in the league. That is not something that I had on my bingo card, ladies and gentlemen. People were legitimately, including myself, worried about some of these matchups that the Cavs have had as of late. And now walking into, the Miami matchup tomorrow and then the matchup against LA, you feel really good. As I'm looking at this schedule, man, obviously you have Miami tomorrow, you have LA, the Lakers, you have Toronto, you have the Hawks, you have the Blazers, Pistons. This Cavs team could easily go on probably one of their best winning streaks of this season if they just continue to give this level of effort. If you can beat the Nuggets, if you can beat the 76ers, surely you can beat most of these opponents who are in front of you. Tune In Sports One says Philly and Denver, these wins are legit. Yes, when you look at the film of these two games, you should feel really good about it, right? You can come back to these games as sticking points for what you need to do to get the job done. Yes, K Dude says, fun fact, I just checked, 8-6 start to last season too. Yes, just a little different, right? Just a little different, because if I'm not mistaken, they went on, was it a 5 or 6 game win streak after the Darius Garland poke by Gary Trent Jr. Fuck that guy. But yeah, man. I think there was the record is similar, but the way that they were getting to that record is very different, in my opinion. Dennis D1122 says, let them know. And I think that's a great point to close this episode out, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. As I know this post-game pod was kind of all over the place with the reactions down here, but man, I really do appreciate you guys. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. I would definitely appreciate it. And as I always tell you, if you'd like to reach out to me, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you want to be added to the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I'll send you an invite. That said, go Cavs, on to Miami.